I'm sharing a short article about Gary Vaynerchuk. Now, I know the criticism. People say he's a grifter, he's a liar, he's overrated, he's a loudmouth, he rug pulled with his NFTs, he's selling BS, his books suck. I've heard all the criticism. My experience is I'm born and raised in New York City. I've been following him for a while. A lot of my agency friends either went to VaynerMedia or came from VaynerMedia. I've thrown events with people from Vayner in New York. So I don't really agree with all the criticism. I think he has a lot of merit. But the reason that I'm actually sharing this article, it's not because of Gary. It's because of the person who's mentioned in this article. And it's mentioned right at the top. And this person is coming onto my podcast, onto this podcast on Tuesday. And so this read is prep for that appearance on Tuesday. I'm really excited to have this person on. So stick with me for the first 4 sentences of this article, and then you'll understand why I'm excited to have this person on the podcast. Sentence 1, the article is starting 8 years ago. I was in the audience listening to Gary Vaynerchuk deliver a groundbreaking keynote presentation at the Web 2.0 conference. Days later, I wrote a blog post where I predicted that Gary would soon be a household name. Weeks later, I landed a job at Buddy Media and introduced Gary to Mike Lazerow, the CEO and founder of Buddy Media. Mike would later sell to Salesforce for close to $1 billion. And that is a guy who is coming onto this podcast on Tuesday. I'm recording this on Sunday, so it's 2 days from now. Mike Lazerow, who sold Buddy Media to Salesforce for close to $1 billion. I think it was the first agency, the first media buying agency for Facebook. He shared a story when we talked on the phone. He shared a story with me about how he pitched Mark Zuckerberg on allowing advertisers onto Facebook. And Mark Zuckerberg was like, no, we don't want to do that. We don't want to have advertisers on Facebook. He's like, listen, it's going to be great. It's going to make you a lot of money, and we'll set them up too. We'll do media buying for them so that they spend more with Facebook. So it was something like that. I don't want to speak for him. He's going to come on the show and tell the story on Tuesday. He has a lot of other crazy stories. And actually, so this is the next sentence in this article. Gary incubated VaynerMedia in our offices at Buddy Media. So Gary Vaynerchuk started VaynerMedia in this guy's conference room, in Mike Lazerow's conference room. And Mike Lazerow is coming onto the show on Tuesday. And the way that it happened was because for the last several months, as I've been building Compact Keywords, compactkeywords.com, my SEO program, as I've been building it, I've been saying no mostly to people who pitch me onto coming onto this podcast. The reason for that, it just takes a lot more time to edit. It takes more time to prepare. And I wanted to put that time and that effort into Compact Keywords. But I was about to finish and I got a pitch from Mike's publicist. The publicist was like, we've done all this stuff. I'm like, all right, let me talk to Mike. I want to see if he has good stories. We talked on the phone. We talked for 40 minutes and I'm like, oh my gosh, these are going to be some great stories. And then I can turn these into reels on Instagram, TikToks. I mean, TikTok is shut down in the US now. People are still watching on Instagram. People are still watching on Snapchat. Ooh, I bet these will do well on LinkedIn. Oh my gosh. So I'm very hyped. I'm very hyped to have Mike on the show. And so this article, it's talking about Gary Vaynerchuk, but it's also talking about Mike. It's talking about Mike Lazerow. So the next sentence is, in that little blip of time after Gary incubated VaynerMedia in the offices of Buddy Media, in that little blip of time, 2008 to 2009, I received a master's level tutorial by observing Mike and Gary in action. They also invest together. Mike was telling me about that. Mike has so many crazy, I mean, I don't want to ruin it. Okay, I'm going to say one more thing. Right before our call, I saw a video that Adam Mosseri, the CEO of Instagram, posted about generative AI on Instagram. And Mike and I started talking. I think Mike is on the board of Meta. And I'm like, did you see this announcement from Instagram about generative AI? And he's like, actually, right before our call, I texted Adam Mosseri, the CEO of Instagram, about it. And so I'm super hyped for this show. So anyway, without further ado, here are 7 powerful things I, as the author of this article, I learned from Gary that can help you too. Number 1, get comfortable and try to relax. The first meeting I ever took with Gary, he didn't sit down. He stalked along the outside edges of the conference room, spinning chairs, looking out the window, claiming the space as his own. He even sat on the conference table and put his feet on a chair. This is partially because Gary rarely sits still, but it's also because he's comfortable in his own skin and rarely gets nervous. I don't recommend you walk in circles in your next board meeting. I do recommend you try to relax and get to know the room. It's okay to stand up and take in the view. Number 2, there is such a thing as a win-win. In the first 2 minutes of their meeting, Mike Lazerow offered Gary space to incubate his agency, and Gary had negotiated equity in Buddy Media. The rest, as they say, is history, so Mike can tell this story on the podcast. The meeting could have been contentious. Instead, these two business juggernauts found equal ground within minutes. They've since become dear friends. Ooh, this links to another page. Number 3, be ready to walk away. By the time I had met Gary, he'd already made millions with his family's wine store. Ridding himself from financial desperation, I'd watch Gary swagger into meetings. If we lost the deal, like Jay-Z, he'd be on to the next one. I watched executives crumble in Gary's hands. The mere feeling that Gary didn't need them was palpable. They expressed a serious fear of missing out and wanted to get on the Gary train. Be ready to leave any deal behind, even say it out loud. Declaring that you need to move on to another meeting can be a gentle reminder who is in control of the boardroom. That's crazy negotiating. That's awesome. If you don't have a financial cushion to fall back on, you can use your time as your equity. Nobody can take that from you. Use time parameters to shift control in meetings. Number 4, building a personal brand is your most powerful weapon. The first Buddy Media meeting I took Gary into with me was a prospective client with the NHL. My key contact was getting cold feet. Social media was still so young. This was unfamiliar territory. Sensing he was backing away, I mentioned that Gary was incubating his new startup in our office. The executive confessed he was a fan of Gary. I'll never forget that. He didn't say I admire his work or I think he's a leading mind in technology. He said that he was a fan. That's the moment I knew that building a personal brand was the most powerful tool an executive could bring to the negotiation table. Number 5, people don't make rational decisions, they work on their gut. My friend Oren Clough has made a career on talking about how our brains process information in sales meetings. Gary is a master of this, most likely from his years working the floor of his parents' wine store. He appeals to your most basic instincts, excites the senses, and pummels your rational brain. When you're ready and not thinking, you find yourself falling in love with this guy. Not a rational reason in the world can conquer gut feelings. Everything Gary does is from the gut. With executives who deal with numbers and quantifiable methods all day, a bit of qualitative excitement is like a warm ocean breeze. Number 6, be excellent at what you do. When Gary woos executives, it's easy to say he's all flash and no substance. Because of this, many people give Gary a hard time. I get it. He's an in-your-face type of guy. It's not unusual to hear Gary drop an expletive or two during a keynote, and that's not for everyone. What his detractors forget is that Gary has the business chops to back up his bravado. He's a practitioner of every social media platform, iterating his content for the greatest impact. When he steps on stage with no slides and make it look like he's just shooting from the hip, he's already put in his 10,000 hours as a wine curator. He's also put in his 10,000 as a public speaker and 20,000 as a business owner. Own your craft and put in your 10,000 hours so you can own the boardroom. And number 7, be yourself. Final one. I'll never forget cringing while standing in the lobby of the NHL with Gary and his brother AJ. I was in a suit. Gary was in jeans, sneakers, and a t-shirt. Gary went on a rant about how the NHL's commissioner was screwing things up for the league. The NHL executives loved it. He was saying things they wished they could say, but knew they'd get in trouble for it. I felt mortified, and then I was in awe. Gary didn't walk on eggshells like most people who were selling to them, myself included. He was authentic from the get-go. We closed that deal and many more together. So that's 7 things Gary Vaynerchuk taught me in the boardroom from Inc., written by Chris Desi in 2016. And I shared it because Mike Lazerow, who Gary incubated VaynerMedia in Mike's conference room. Mike is coming on the show on Tuesday. I'm hyped for that. Other news, Donald Trump released a meme coin. I just put out a podcast about meme coins because I wanted to understand why people were buying meme coins. If you want to learn why people are buying meme coins, that is episode 502 of this show, What's Going On with Meme Coins. It's a 22-minute episode where I really did a deep dive trying to understand it. I think it's a pretty good one. So Donald Trump puts out this coin. Some friends literally have made 8 figures from it. I think the market cap is like at 15 billion, and it just came out a few hours ago. And the reason I'm sharing this is because to me, what I'm thinking about with that is an insane personal brand. I mean, it's one of the most insane personal brands in the world. But Gary Vaynerchuk used his personal brands to have VFriends. So many people have created personal brands and then launched meme coins off them in the last year. And this whole article was about the power of a personal brand. And I think this is a very timely example of it. I can't believe how fast the price has increased for this Donald Trump meme coin. Let's talk about personal brands. TikTok just shut down. TikTok literally just shut down. I've shared this so many times on the podcast. I get more views on Instagram than I do on TikTok, and it's because I've developed this strategy on how to post on Instagram that I've been developing for the last 811 days since I started posting November 1st, 2022, November 1st, 2022 is when I first started posting, and I haven't missed a day of posting videos since. So if you want to see that, you can just Google Edward Sturm, my exact social media posting strategy. The link will also be in the description for this show. But a lot of people who were successful on TikTok, they didn't realize that you have to post manually on Instagram. And that's one of the reasons why their videos weren't doing as well. Or don't use hashtags on Instagram, or use long descriptions for SEO. There's just all these things. I think the most common thing is a lot of people, they try to outsmart the system and they use automation tools on Instagram. And that's what I did for the first 10 months. That's what I did. And accidentally, no, I think the automation tool was broken for like a couple hours. So I just posted manually on Instagram. That video did way better. And then I learned, oh, okay, Instagram, I tested a bunch. And then I'm like, okay, wow, Instagram really likes manual posting. Same with Facebook Reels. Facebook Reels also like manual posting. So I share this in this article, my exact social media posting strategy. TikTok shut down. Shut down in the United States. I am not worried in the least bit. Not at all. I really am not. Something else is going to take its place. Or more about personal brands. Mr. Beast tweeted out, maybe I should buy TikTok, tweeted it out as a joke. All these billionaires contacted him, and now he actually might buy TikTok, or Elon Musk might buy TikTok. Personal brands are crazy, and what a crazy day. Trump coin, TikTok shutting down or being banned. So an insane day. Anyway, this is all for episode 564 of my daily digital marketing podcast. Oh, some quick SEO news. Apparently, Yandex video is being used for Parasite search engine optimization, and it's popping off in Russia and India. And the prediction by Mr. Charles Float is that it will come to low to medium competition search engine results pages in English very soon. Yandex video. Never thought of using Yandex video for Parasite SEO within Google, but that is a prediction from Charles Float, and maybe I'll take a look at Yandex video, especially if it's popping off in these other markets. A lot of people from India watch my show, watch this podcast, listen to this podcast, or watch my Instagram Reels or TikToks. I guess not TikTok because it's banned there, but my Instagram Reels. And that's very, 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 very interesting. All right. That is all for episode 564 of my daily digital marketing podcast. If you watched on YouTube, thank you. If you listened on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, thank you too. And I will talk to you again tomorrow. Bye now.